All right, and welcome everyone to the April edition of the website Throwdown. It is absolutely beautiful here in Connecticut. I was debating on doing this outside, but decided, nope, I'll stay inside, be hardwired, make sure we have no internet issues. So right off the bat, we have a big announcement. If you've been following us over the last couple of weeks, you know we have a big event coming up. And Christine, if you can, share the screen really quick. I'd like to introduce Impact Live to everyone. And there it is. So Impact Live, so this is going to be our big annual event. Last year we did Brew Marketing and Sales Success. Many of you know about that. A lot of you came to it. Super excited. But this year we are really stepping up our game, and it's Impact Live. It's a 2-day event here in Hartford, Connecticut. We have some phenomenal speakers. You can see David Mirman Scott is on the promotion here. We've got Mike Volpe, we got Mark Roberge, Mark Sheridan, Joanna Weeb, Tara Robertson, a whole bunch of other people have been on the Throwdown. I'm probably missing some big names, Pika Buddha, obviously myself and Tom, and a whole bunch of others. So 2-day event here in Hartford. Really hope that you guys come and join us. It's specifically for marketing sales leaders, a lot of great content. So check out the site, impactbnd.com/live. We'll make sure we put that in the chat because I don't see it on here. Impactbnd.com/live. And I'll wait a minute, I'll let you guys check out the site. All right, sounds good. And we'll get right to the Throwdowns here. So if we go back to the full screen. Awesome. So I'd like to introduce everyone. I'm Bob Ruffalo, founder and CEO of Impact. And as you'll notice, the last few Throwdowns, my partner has not been on with me. So I just want to be very honest. Tom and I we haven't been seeing eye to eye lately. And we decided, listen, we're going to keep ourselves separated for a little while. We'll go every other Throwdown. Tom will do some, I'll do some. And, it's just, I guess it's better that way. So April Fools, that's obviously just a joke. Tom's actually, I wrote in my notes, Tom's at the hospital waiting for the birth of his second nephew. But we just got word right before this that the birth has happened. So Tom is now a nephew. He's enjoying time with his family. He wishes he could be here. Quite frankly, he's probably on his phone watching this and wishing he was here. But that's where Tom is today. So the rest of the team, obviously, the two girls that make this happen every week, Christine and Ramona, are in the background. This thing would not happen if it wasn't for them. Filling in for Tom is Karina Duffy. Welcome, Karina.
Thanks, Bob. I'm excited to be here.
So you're a new face to the website Throwdown.
Yeah.
And somebody just sneezed ridiculously loud in the background. We're live here, guys. We're live.
Perfect.
All right. So Karina, you're new to the website Throwdown. So tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah. So I am an inbound marketing consultant here at Impact, specializing in project management. I've been here for almost a year, and this is exciting for me. I've watched a ton of the website Throwdowns. I started actually watching website Throwdowns before I started working at Impact. So it's really exciting to actually be on one. And I found out this week that I'm going to have the privilege of speaking in one of the breakout sessions at Inbound 2017. So that's
one of the first 30 people they announced for Inbound, Karina Duffy.
Yep. So I'm so excited. It's an exciting time.
Awesome. And as always, we have a special guest, and we are really excited to have a good friend of the agency, Miss Ellie Mirman from Crayon, and VP of Marketing over at Crayon. Am I correct in saying that?
Heading up marketing. Yep.
Heading up marketing over at Crayon. So welcome, Ellie. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks so much. Excited to be here. So coming up on almost 2 months at Crayon. I just joined. Been a whirlwind so far. We're a market intelligence company. So we're trying to enable marketers around the world to leverage the intel that's all around their company and make better marketing decisions based on that. I was a customer and a user long before that, been following the company for a while, and actually I'm here with a lot of fellow HubSpot alumni. So I spent lots of years at HubSpot, really excited to be back with some folks that I know and love working with. So excited to be on the show today.
That's awesome. You know what's really funny is you HubSpot alums, you all stick together.
It's so hard to stay away. I mean, we have so much fun together.
Yeah, no, I know, Volpe's over at Cyber Reason. I guess they got a handful over there, and It's really funny. That's awesome. You've got a great community up there in the Boston, Cambridge area. So, and obviously I saw you speak last year as well at Mike Volpe's Growth Camp. You were phenomenal. Your uncle was there. He was phenomenal as well. It was really cool. You were with Toast at the time.
Yep.
And our audience is going to love you having on our Throwdown today. So without further ado, let's just dig right into it. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. So, Ellie, this is your first website there, and Karina, this is your first one. So I figured let me go first and show you how it's done. How does that sound?
Perfect. Perfect.
But feel free to chime in, guys, if there's anything that you see. So the first company here is Jansen, and I like to also talk about first impressions. One of the first things I noticed when I got to the site, I've talked a lot in the past about credibility. This site just kind of looks like a templated site. The photos look very stock, and we've gone over this many times before, but I cannot repeat this enough because you see it almost across the web on almost every website. When you get into someone lands on your website, they're going to be really judging, like, is this a kind of spammy company? Is it a real company? Would I want to do business with this company? Do I want to open up my wallet and give money to this company? And my first impression of this site was not really. Like, I don't know. I'm not getting the feeling. You say the word trust there, which is ironic, but the site is not conveying that. The brand is not conveying that right now. I think the questions you need to be asking, or people are going to be asking right when they get to the site, like, who is this company? Is it for me? And why are they different and better than anyone else? And if you're putting out just, it looks like you maybe spent $500 on your website, you're not really, it's not giving you the message, the first impression that I think you want your audience to really feel. So, so that was like my first impression. So I said, okay, let me dig in a little bit and see what they're all about. Need a smarter shopper, and obviously that thing slides through. There was a few different sliders. I was, my first 5 to 10 seconds on the site, I'm like, what do these people even do? It wasn't actually until I went to the title tag of the page, believe it or not, actually let me know what this company did. Was they're a mystery shopping company. So my assumption is that you can hire them and they would mystery shop business. I think that's what they do. Again, questions I have right off the bat, like, will they mystery shop any business in the United States? Will they do Canada too? Like, what locations do they do? I didn't really understand that coming off the site. So I think really, if this is my company, and the first thing I would do is that first impression. What do we do? Who do we do it for? And why are we different? And why are we better? If you can answer those 3 things within the first 5 seconds of being on your homepage, I think that would be a giant improvement. So I'll toss this over to you guys. Is there anything that you guys see right on again, first impression of the site?
It's funny you mentioned kind of the templated nature of the website. Someone recently asked me the question of how do you make yourself seem like a bigger company than you are, right? If you're just getting started out and you have minimal budget and you have, minimal resources, what do you do to make yourself seem, bigger and more legitimate? And I actually think the design is one of those things where if you have a really polished design, it can help with making you seem like a bigger, more established company. And especially with something like mystery shopping, I do think of that as a more enterprise service. Like, it's going to be bigger companies that are looking for that. So I would imagine that appealing to that enterprise buyer with something that they see as, very stable, very experienced, could help a lot with building that trust with the prospect.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that it is interesting to see kind of what they're trying to communicate with text versus what the design and the user experience is communicating. And I think that there's a huge disconnect there. And I think that, updating some of those, some of the design here could go a long way with, communicating what they really do and what their value is.
Well, another thing I noticed too, Christine, if we can go responsive here a little bit and start bringing the page in, this text is experience, trust, and impact. It shrinks down. And it actually got all the way down to like a mobile size, and it became very illegible. There you go. That was a good example, like right there. You can see it. Again, little things like that too, just begin to affect the user experience. If we scroll down the homepage a little bit, let's see. Keep going down a little bit further. So you got customer proof down below. We talk a lot about customer proof, social proof when it comes to affecting conversions. This is, I think, a little too far down the page, and it's also almost impossible to read, believe it or not. The paragraphs are too long. It's not really calling out any words or anything in particular, and it's scrolling, and you have three of them next to each other, it gets really, really, really busy. I think it's important, and I'm looking at the brands here. I'm seeing if there's any brands I recognize, but I think if you had logos that maybe people would recognize, I would also like to see faces go along with these. And then if you could shorten out what they're saying to like one power sentence or one power statement per, and maybe if you only had two, and then if somebody wants to dig in further, they had the option to go see more. Maybe you leave it your two strongest. That would probably be more powerful, and bring that up to the top of the page, because they're going right back to what you said, that I just got on the page, like, who is this company? Is this real? You had two logos. Like if you worked with two brands that people would recognize and you had really strong quotes from somebody important at that company, immediately that's going to help right away. And I'm not sure if these are doing any justice down below on the page here.
Along with that, Bob, I think you get to the bottom here and you see the Janssen mystery shopping, performance evaluations, surveys, and more. And to me, it's kind of like, oh, that's what they do. Okay. And if that could be communicated further up on the page, even in the hero, I think it would make a lot more sense and really, help communicate their value and exactly what it is that they do.
Exactly.
The other thing that sticks out to me, since we've scrolled down the page, is how much real estate that top header is taking up. You'd think, all right, if you're scrolling down, I want to consume more content, but that's taking up a lot of space. And there are two extra funny things that seem strange to me. One is the date is there in the top left. I don't know what value that adds, because that has nothing to do with the website or my need for getting information from this website. And
which
then
again goes back to, is it a template, right? Because that's something that a template would have included in it.
Yeah, it's like, was this supposed to be a blog? I'm not sure what happened here. And then the logo, which I imagine carries some weight in the top right, the MSPA. Carries some weight, but it seems like the placement of it is just strange. Like it's kind of crammed in there. And if there's some sort of like representation or some sort of meaning behind like our participation in this association, then maybe calling that out on like main real estate on the website instead of in the navigation could do some good.
Yeah. If we go down to the footer here, you got a bunch of links, and mixed in here is they have a blog like right in the middle, believe it or not. There it is. Yep, you found it. Let's click on that. At first it was like, oh, look, they got some pretty good blog articles. Is that loading up? There we go. And it's like, oh, look at this, reimbursement versus paid mystery shop, which is worth more. I was like, awesome. And Ellie, I know you're not on a lot of these throwdowns, but this is like a rarity to find people that are like have really good blog articles and good titles. They're like, yes. But then I realized, okay, the last one was August. And then I was like, all right, well, then that was the date before is August 25th. Then it was August 16th. I'm like, oh, it looks like they were blogging up to August, and for some reason they stopped. So I had this whole thing ready to go. And then I went down just a little bit. It looked like they may have launched their site in August, and they had like 6 blog articles maybe came with their package and then stopped. So the articles weren't terrible. I'd be very interested in checking out their analytics though to see if these articles are actually where they're getting most of their traffic. So again, if this is your website, if you're a Janssen, dig into Google Analytics. I bet you'll find that these articles are some of the most popular pages, and then that would just make a case, you got to be doing more content marketing, more blogging. If you can pick it up and get back to 1 or 2 articles a week, I think that'll help from your organic standpoint. That I don't know, that was just another thing I picked up here.
I think what's interesting too is if that's true, if a lot of their traffic is coming from these blogs and they're landing on it, I think if they land on the blog here, they'll have no context as to where they are and who this company is. So I think that's a whole nother trail you could go down with that.
And one last thing I'll say too on this, as we've gone through a little bit, They've submitted the website to Website Throwdown, and if they're like most people that we work with, it's because they're saying, what am I doing wrong? How can I get more business, more revenue from my website? And I'm looking at the site and I'm like, there's a lot that's missing. But if I were to give some advice to say, like, what's some short-term things that maybe to think about that could help turn this around, is we've talked about this in the last few throwdowns, but having some kind of irresistible offer. Now, I'm not talking a content offer. I'm not talking maybe a coupon, maybe something, I don't know, but like something that your audience, if you put that in front and said, I would like to do this for you at my own dime because I know it would be valuable. And they're like, yes, that would be valuable. And I would like to do that. If you have some kind of offer that you can make to somebody that's sales ready or potentially in the market or potentially has a need, that they would take you up on that at a pretty high rate, get something like that front and center on your website, make most of your pages drive over to that. But that's something then you can even do some like paid advertising and drive people to, whether it be Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, something along those lines, that you can get the right audience to that offer and say, wow, that's a pretty cool offer. I think our company should probably take advantage of that. And you might have something that people convert on at a higher rate. Again, that would be my first piece of advice. And then later on, a lot of the stuff we talked about, some design stuff, some UI stuff, some content marketing stuff, will that really move the needle right away? It will over time as you grow, and certainly you want to look like a more professional company. So there's a lot of things you might want to attack there first, but having something that people can take advantage of right away is, I think, what we're really missing from this site. And now, if you fix that first, that'll move the needle for you fastest.
The other thing on that front is just to call out that it looks like there are two audiences for them, right? There are the companies that want to hire a mystery shopping company, and then they also look like they're recruiting for shoppers, right? If you look at that top navigation, shop for Jenkin, that means that you probably need two clear paths and to really clarify which path is for who, so that, all right, you get someone who is a potential shopper, they know exactly what to do. It doesn't really require a lot of thought, like, oh, this is clearly what's for me, versus the companies who are looking for a mystery shopping service. They know exactly which way to go.
Awesome. Well, we just got a question here on Facebook. They're asking, before I lose here, what is the recommended amount of blog content for a small site? That is a great question. It's a tough question to answer. I'm going to give you the answer any marketer probably would give you. It depends, right? But it's true. So when you're starting small, you got to start a content marketing program. I do believe in those. Obviously, we do a lot of that for our clients because the long-term benefits of it has the best ROI. Still, even if you start now and 5 years from now, you'll still probably have the best ROI on that being your biggest channel of traffic to your website and for lead generation. But it's not going to, most cases, and especially what we've seen, even in the first year, doesn't always pay ROI, right? Or pay dividends to do that. It takes time. So if you can get started, if you can do one article a week and you can really focus on some kind of topic that will help your current sales team, or if you're selling right now and that would entice your current prospects or help educate your current prospects, you get one article out a week. That's a great way to get started, and over time maybe add to that. Long-term benefits, what you really want to do is have a ton of different articles that rank for a ton of different keywords, so that anyone that's looking is has a really good chance of landing on your website and learning from you. And then obviously can then convert and start working with you from there. But that's not going to happen overnight. In the short term, if you can just get one article out a week and you can start just using that in other ways, like you email to your audience and people say, yeah, thank you so much for writing that. That's going to help me. That's a good way of getting started. Ellie, you did a ton of content marketing over at HubSpot and I'm sure your other endeavors. Is there anything else that you can answer to that question? Like how much should someone do in a week? Or
I mean, I do think the biggest factor is the predictability, the routine around it, because you can see even just the way that we reacted to this website. At first, so excited that there's blog content, and then you see that the last post is from August of 2016. The company takes a hit in credibility, almost like you want to question, is this company still in business? So I think the biggest factor is, you get a couple of posts out there and you just keep up a schedule that you can handle, whatever that schedule is. If it's once a week, maybe even once a month. I mean, that's how HubSpot started too. It's like, all right, we don't have a lot of people. Let's just get one out a month and then we'll work our way up from there. I think that it shows that you're consistently adding content. And over time, of course, more content will help in terms of building out your arsenal of content for SEO and whatnot. So it's just a matter of how quickly you get there. But in the meantime, it's about showing, hey, we're here. We're doing this thought leadership. We're adding more content. You should like us. Google should like us. I think that cadence really matters.
Awesome. All right, I just give me 1 second. There we go. I actually just opened the Facebook Live, so I had your audio. You were speaking at me twice, so, so I had to fix that. But let's move on to the next site here. And what do we have? Fusion. And who has Fusion?
That would be.
All right, let's dig right in.
All right. So my first impression of the site was actually pretty pretty positive in terms of, all right, we've got some good structure, we've got some product content already, we've got clear calls to action already. I have a pretty good impression. But then I started to see some other good opportunities. First, in terms of more content, right? There's already a good base here, but if we scroll down a little bit, there are a couple of, we'll come back to the features, I think, but video content. Love that we have the kind of a mix of written and video content on here. But one of the first things that stuck out to me was that, all right, I don't know what these videos are, right? I'm guessing maybe they're case studies because they're people and there's something about success ahead of time, as a headline there. But I wish I could have a little bit more content that I could just skim to entice me to actually play the video. And then as we continue through, I realized, okay, not a lot of content on the homepage. I wish there was, an opportunity to dig in a little bit further. Of course, we've got those product tiles at the top, which I thought was a great opportunity. One thing that I noticed as a combination between the product tiles here and the calls to action is that we have a lot of colors going on. Now I know, different brands have different ways of using color, but I didn't see a lot of hierarchy. And I think especially when you have two calls to action next to each other, which we have up above, it's unclear which one you want me to do more, right? I think it's really helpful when you give people multiple options to say, all right, if you don't know where to go, like you should go here, but hey, if you're not ready for that, here's our secondary option. And so throughout the site, I found kind of this use of lots of different colors a little bit distracting. And so I think maybe finding ways to have a little bit of a hierarchy with color could help with focusing attention when someone lands on the website.
Yeah, I agree with the two competing calls to action. I also noticed if you scroll down the page a little bit, there really aren't any other calls to action.
Yep.
And that's a little bit more of a concern too, is like as you read through the page, if we can, you have a sticky navigation, maybe there's the next call to action, maybe we can live on there or something like that. I also saw it on scheduling documentation. Are those links?
They
are.
Interestingly, there seem to be multiple places on the website with similar product content. And I found it a little confusing that the header linked to different places or the navigation linked to different places versus those tiles.
You know what else I noticed on the homepage as well? They have Hotjar and they have the poll. It's not there right now. It was there a few seconds ago. Maybe it'll load back up. But there's that one poll question at the bottom that's asking you, is there anything else they could do to improve the site? I thought that was pretty neat that they had that on there. I do like those, and I do love Hotjar as a product. I think they are helpful, but I also believe maybe keeping those on for a limited time, because I think it's taking away from other things. Because obviously your attention goes there. Do you want them telling you how they make the site better? Do you want them reviewing a product? Do you want them doing a live chat with you? There's a lot of different options of where you want to drive people to. So use those wisely. I'm not sure if, Christine, that was up the first time you were on the site. Maybe it was too early to ask. Again, it is a useful tool, but you just have to use it very wisely.
Yeah. I'm with you. I've found that as I was going through the website, the most feedback that I had was around calls to action and what you wanted people to do. Like having Hotjar on the homepage, I actually don't know if you need that at all on the homepage. It almost feels like too early to be asking for that feedback versus letting people really dive into the content throughout the site. And then with the calls to action, not knowing which one is the primary, and then also with those tiles on the product features, at first I actually wasn't sure that I could click on them. Thankfully, when I hovered, you could see that interaction that helped, but there are other places on the website that also use this tile where it's not clickable. So if we go into an example, I think it was like one of the scheduling feature pages. It also leverages a lot of tiles down towards the bottom. Yeah, and these ones aren't clickable. There are a lot of colors, it's a lot of content, and there's just, I'm not so sure about this way of presenting content as a way for someone to quickly understand what to read, what to skim, what to click. And then the other piece that you mentioned was around having another type of call to action. Pretty much the only call to action I found in terms of a landing page where someone could convert and move to the next step was this demo request. And it is in the navigation, which is great. One of the things I found wanting was some sort of sticky call to action so that, regardless of where I am, I know I could jump to something to take a next step. And I think there might be an opportunity to highlight the demo in the navigation. You'll see this on a lot of websites where kind of the key call to action you really care about or the company really cares about is highlighted as a separate button or a separate color or something to really call it out in the navigation so you don't lose sight of it. So I think that could be an interesting opportunity. And then also generally having some sort of call to action that's higher up in the funnel, right? Getting a demo is great if you are ready to take that step, ready to jump into a sales conversation. But having some sort of resource that someone could download and maybe continue their research could be a great way to engage people earlier on in their sales process. And I was kind of curious about what other companies in the space do. And I won't call out other companies in this, I think it was EMR space. But from what I could tell, quite a few of those companies had resource pages, which is of course pretty standard. But they had really robust resources with white papers and webinars and even newsletters, which are maybe a little bit more old school. And even some of them put testimonials in a resources section. I think that could be a really interesting opportunity in terms of highlighting some longer form content that someone is interested in earlier on in their research process, but comes before really wanting to dive into a demo. Right.
Awesome. Yeah, Ellie, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think I think it's a relatively well done site. I do like the giant product shots. I think, we've had a lot of software sites or a lot of SaaS companies on the Throwdown, and that's one of the biggest criticisms, that we can't see the software. And I think right when you get into the page, that helps a lot. It's like, okay, I can kind of experience or, how it's going to be if I start using the software. If there's a way for people, you do have a demo here. If there's other ways that people can experience the product, they want to do a lot of their shopping before even talking to a sales rep. Any SaaS product I end up purchasing, Christine and I just spent yesterday, again, I might be a different audience, but, I guess it's maybe helpful to hear this. We spent yesterday trying a whole bunch of different softwares for a project I'm working on with Nick here. And, we just signed up for every free trial. We wanted to get right involved. We couldn't get right in using the software and playing around with it. We got frustrated. So that is part of the experience people want, is they want to start playing with it and even putting some data in there. And if you ever read the book Hooked by Nir Eyal, that's what you want. You want people to immediately get into the software, start making an investment in the software by putting their information in there and having triggers to bring them back into that software so they can continuously reinvest in the software. And by the time their free trial is up, they don't want to leave, right? Because they're so invested in it. So that's more stuff that again, just think about as you're trying to onboard people, is there some way that they could just start using the product right away in a very simple way?
Yeah, I would echo that too. It seems like they're missing a big opportunity to really funnel people that way. And it seems like there's definitely a lack of kind of conversion points to move people to even wanting to request a demo.
Exactly. Well, on that note, why don't we move on to the next site? And Karina, I'm going to assume this one's yours.
Yeah.
All right, take it away.
All
Once it
right.
loads.
So we got the West Clinic here. And the first thing that, since this is my first Throwdown, I'm kind of doing a lot of first impressions here. But the first thing that really struck me about the hero here was kind of how there's some competing sections. So you have the sidebar on the right there that's kind of competing with the rest of the hero. And so I'm not really sure just initially where my eye should be going. Should I be, looking at the picture or these screenshots on the right? And then also the hero image, no matter how you size the window, basically, sits maybe 100 pixels below the fold. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that there's a big chunk of the image that's, below the fold. And it just kind of feels, especially depending on your screen size, things kind of get misaligned. And I think there's some, just some responsiveness issues with different browser sizes and on mobile. And then as you scroll down, I think after you hit the initial kind of value prop in the hero with, okay, it's a health clinic, so I can understand that. And then we kind of hit the first section, which is pretty much just a big chunk of text. And I think that, when you read through it, it's really valuable stuff, but I think it's maybe misplaced in terms of, having that on the homepage. And I think there's a quote here, but it's from initially I wasn't sure what the quote was from, if that was a testimonial. And I think it's actually from somebody that works in the clinic. And at the same time, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, reading through that content, it's very we. Almost every sentence there starts with we. It would be nice if they were talking more about the value they're going to provide their audience opposed to themselves. That's the way that first paragraph comes off a lot to me.
Yeah. That's a great point. And I think there's, up until this point, no calls to action until the no health problem is impossible. Find your solution, which I think in some ways is strong, but also is a little bit, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure how, where that's going to take me. And if you actually, Christine, if you click on that CTA, it takes you to basically just a list of all the conditions that they treat. And if you click through into any of the conditions, then it brings you to a page, kind of like the last site we talked about. There's really not a lot of places to convert. So they're, even with their calls to action, they're bringing you just to another page and then to another page and then to another page. And if you actually get down to the form on this page, it's actually pretty confusing as to what this form is for. So it says the West Clinic offers a better natural health approach, but it's just a form. And I have no idea where this message is going or why I'm giving them my information. Am I scheduling an appointment? So I think in terms of, kind of looking at, conversion, it's really the opportunity for people to convert is very small. There's not a lot of places for them to do that. They have to click through multiple pages to even get to a form.
It's funny. It's almost like the call to action right above, which is to see more testimonials, is almost more prominent than that form. Especially since it's right above it. And even compared to the send button on that form, that send button is almost, blending into the background. It's almost like they don't want people to pay too much attention to it.
Yeah. And then if you head to the contact page in that navigation there, kind of seems like that's pretty much the only way you can convert on the site is to fill out a contact form. But even here, there's actually no form on this page. So all that there is the address and the phone number. So it's kind of confusing. I wasn't sure. I clearly can kind of understand what they do, but I'm not sure what I can do about it. So do I show up there? Can I schedule an appointment? It's kind of hard to navigate through that.
Great points. Great points. A couple questions I had. If we go back to the homepage, the first picture is okay. It looks stocky, but it's clearly them. It's obviously people that work at the clinic. So hooray there for having a real photo and not fake doctors and fake iPads and all that stuff. I would like to see people helping people. Even if you had to kind of fake it in your office, if these real people were helping somebody instead of just standing up, it's kind of like the lawyer. At least these people are smiling too. It's better than like the lawyer photo where they're standing up and no one's smiling, looking all serious at you. But one question I had is like, where are they located? Is this like a national company? I didn't see anywhere as we walked through this that said there's a certain area where they provide and serve. So I don't really see anywhere that says like, is this your location? So that was one thing. And then my first impression by seeing the food and the vegetables there, I was like, oh, this is a digestive clinic. And then when we went in deeper, we saw they served, there was a lot of different things. There was anxiety, and I don't know if this was on that list, but there was a whole bunch of other services or practice areas there that I would have liked to see maybe brought out to the front and maybe simplified in a way that was easier to understand without having a list with 100 things on it. So that might help people better understand what you guys do. Again, I'm sure you're just trying to get new patients. So do you have some kind of offer for someone to leave their current doctor or stop doing the status quo, what they're currently doing, if they're going to CVS or doing something, to start maybe utilizing your services? Is there some kind of like new patient offer that you have that I think that would also improve conversions?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next site, and I'm going to try something we've never done before. Right, drum roll, please. This is brand new. I've actually asked the person that submitted this website to see if they'd be willing to come on and join us. Christine, do we know if they are available?
They should be. Looks like we sent them over to the Zoom link, so they should hopefully be coming in soon and joining us.
Okay, and her name was Lisa. Mm-hmm. So if hopefully Lisa will hop on and join us. I'm not sure if we have to let her in, but if you can get back to me, because again, I've never done this before, but I want to switch it up a little bit today to see if we could try something different. But I thought it'd be really cool to ask maybe why they did some of the things on the site, if they had some reasons for it. So Lisa's watching, and I'm getting notes here from Ramona that she just opened the email, and hopefully she'll be clicking and joining us again.
Looks like we have a question here, Bob. If maybe we want to talk through that in the meantime. Cephas Talbot said, "What are your thoughts on pop boxes for CTAs and subscription signups?"
Great question, and I appreciate you asking that. I'll take a first stab at that, if that's okay. I like them. They work. As a user experience, it can be very frustrating, but as a marketer, you're not so frustrated when you see that your conversion rates are going up, right? So I think they have to be done very wisely. I think you have to really test them out and get the timing right and try not to make an overly intrusive experience. But pop-ups are intrusive by nature, right? They're like, hey, stop everything you're doing, pay attention to me. By nature, they're very intrusive, but they are still effective. But certainly you also want to understand how to do them right and not get knocked in Google. As far as I understand, at this point, it's still only mobile where you're getting knocked as part of their algorithm change. And if it's completely intrusive, blocking the entire screen and hard to exit out of it, then that's where you're really getting penalized. But yeah, I think they work, and most marketers that have built up incredible subscription lists are using them. Ellie, do you have any feedback on that or any?
I have a similar take, which is I think as someone on the other end of it, it's oftentimes very frustrating. But as the marketer, it's like, oh, but it works, right? So I do think that there's a way to make it work well, where it's, as long as, or if you think about the reason that Google is penalizing that scenario of, a situation where it's really hard to exit out, it's because that's the most frustrating scenario for the user, right? Google is optimizing for the user. And so I think that having, presenting opportunities for people to convert or subscribe when you think that it actually could be useful, could be valuable to them, while also giving control to them as well, right? I think one of the things that is most frustrating about those pop-ups is that you don't feel in control, the screen's taken over, you don't know, they're hiding the little X out of it. I think that those situations make it so that you create some bad will with your visitors as well. And so if you do this in a smart way where you still give your visitor some control over that experience, then you can have the positive effects without creating the bad will with the other folks.
Awesome.
Agree.
Well, we're going to dig into the site in fairness of time. Maybe Lisa will join us. I really hope she does. But as I got to the site, a lot of my feeling that I had on the first site that I reviewed carry over here. My first question is, credibility. Again, is this a real company? I'm seeing what appears to be a very stock photo of a diverse group of people with, very perfect teeth, smiling, looking ridiculously way too happy at something. And then you have, these color icons. It's like, advance your career with interactive conferences and training that cultivate lasting relationships with like-minded professionals. Okay, it's not the strongest. And now you're asking the person with, that is going to be doing the training to pay for it. So, if I was trying to advance my career and I want to get the best education I possibly could, is this site really selling me on that? Even the icons and the colors kind of make it look elementary to me. It looks a little bit like the same types of training that we get direct mail to us. And we throw those right into the trash. You wonder if the education is going to be really, really good or if it's going to be just so-so, right? However, I'm going to blow your minds right now. So if we scroll down a little bit and we look and they have events, let's go down a little bit. Here are the events. Okay, same thing. Like, all right, they have some events coming up, kind of look boring, stock photos of the cities where they are. But let's scroll down a little bit. Let's go down a little bit further to the marketing one, which is going to come up. So upcoming marketing events. Let's click on that. Now look at this. Now, granted, from a layout standpoint, there's a it could be a nicer or a little bit nicer designed. There's a pop-up. We just talked about this. We'll close out of that. But my entire feeling on the brand and the credibility completely changed by looking at this page. I'm seeing the second social media and digital engagement strategies for healthcare. You got a date, time. You show some logos there. It looks like a professionally done graphic. You scroll down. You got the descriptions. Look, you got some logos there. I recognize a few of those. I recognize Hootsuite, right? Okay, man. And now I get some face of speakers there and their titles and descriptions. Like, holy crap, this is going to be a really good seminar. And you go through and they built out this whole agenda, the whole program. If you keep going down, there's so much here. There's the entire agenda and more speakers. It's like, where was this in the homepage? Even if you just took that one graphic that you had all the way up top and brought that into the homepage, and then, maybe you can do it in another way, design it another way where you can have a little bit more of a call to action. that brought you like to this page, but that was completely missing for me on the homepage. I went to the homepage and said, I'm not sure if there's a real company to landing on this, like, holy crap, this looks like an amazing event. And then going back and like, wow, they have like 15, 20 events going on right now. They got a lot of good stuff going on. This is a big company, I imagine. So really good news is I just saw on my Zoom that Lisa is on here, but she's on mute. Lisa, can we get you off mute?
I'm trying.
There you are.
Hello?
Lisa, welcome to being the first guest we've ever had on the website Throwdown that submitted their site.
Well, great. Happy to be here.
So we were just talking about your site, and we're giving you some feedback. And what I was just saying is your site is like a tale of two sites. Your homepage is not doing you any justice. But then if someone were to click through and go to one of your events, now certainly there's some design elements here, but there's a lot of good stuff there. Can you kind of walk me through like maybe how do people find your site? And are you emailing these pages to them and are they seeing your homepage? Walk me through that a little bit.
Well, we do a lot of marketing through email, and typically we're marketing a particular event like the one you have pulled up here. So we would send a direct link to that page. And then rarely would we send a link to the homepage. The homepage is sort of a summary of all of our upcoming events. And our challenge is we're doing, like you said, we might have 10, 12, 15 events up there at one time, often targeting different audiences. How do we sort of showcase all the different areas we do, but yet we have to have event pages for each one of them specifically. So most of the time when we send out a social media post about an event, it goes directly to this event page that you like, but we just hope people might go to homepage just to see all the events we do.
Yeah, because that's kind of a challenge. Right? I can imagine like you don't want to take attention off of this page. When you send somebody here, you want them to convert. But then if they don't convert on this page, you want them to still maybe opt in to get updates on other events. Does that sound like something?
Well, they might say, well, gee, we can't go to this event in May or whatever dates these are, but let me check out the other events they have. Maybe there's one in the summer that I would like to go to. We have many that would target the same audience, and we're not always sure what they are exactly interested in. So we want them to, we're guesstimating when we market this event to them that they would be interested in this, but in reality, they could be interested in 5 other events on our website.
Gotcha. So a couple of things right off the bat that after hearing you say that went through my head. You had a pop-up when we first got on that page, and It was very, very soon. I'm not sure if you watched us, but we did what 90% of your audience, or 95 or 99.99% of your audience does, is they say, and they try to X out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, like when people are going through to say like, oh, this might be for me, maybe there's some timing going on there, but then they're going to go and they're going to bring their mouse up to hit the back button. If you had an exit intent, so if people were like going to hit the back button, then maybe the pop-up comes up and maybe says, if this event is not for you, maybe check out one of our other events. And maybe that timing would be a little bit of a better journey for them.
Yeah, I'd have to find out if we can do that, but it sounds like.
Oh, it's definitely possible. There's Sumo Me is a plugin that you can put on pretty much any website that would probably help with that. And you already have a pop-up on your site. So, and if you have a developer, they probably even hard code something for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also thinking too, like if there's like I'm interested, give me more information, maybe option besides just register now, or I'm interested in similar events, then they could still opt in to get more information if they can't do this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way you still get an email address. Your sales team maybe can even follow up with them and start building a relationship with them, make them part of the community. So it's not just register now. If you can find a way to subtly mix that option in there, that might also help.
More info.
Yeah, I haven't, clicked on all the links here, and I see that but I do see that there is, email sign up in the top bar. It would be really interesting to have an option to select, all right, I'm interested in these topics and these regions, and then to just get answers about that. I think that could be a really compelling offer if, say, oh, I can't make it to this event, but I would love to know about the next social media event in healthcare. Like, definitely keep me updated, especially if it's in the San Francisco area or what have you. I think that could be really compelling.
Mm-hmm. Well, people when they do click opt-in here, they get sent to a form where it asks them which topic areas
Nice.
in. It doesn't go specifically into conference names. It goes into more kind of the event interest, and then we don't ask about geography either, because we find our events draw people from nationwide. We'll hold an event on the East Coast and half the people will be from the West Coast and vice versa. That happens all the time. So we do try to segment people sometimes based on that, just to kind of break up our email marketing. But in reality, we want the people who are on the East Coast to hear about the West Coast event, because people do like to travel, or maybe their corporate headquarters is there, or maybe their sister lives in California, or whatever. It's a reason for them to get to California, even if they're from New York.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
It's a challenge.
Well, all in all, at least, like, this page is actually really well done. Again, I think to your, we probably could be a little bit nicer design. I mean, I would probably look at sites like Eventbrite for more inspiration, and maybe how we could pull in to do, like, because they have a lot of events going at once, and they're or Eventbrite doesn't, but the people are advertising their events on Eventbrite.
Well, we do as well. We use Eventbrite to process our conference registrations.
Yeah.
I have been challenged. I have tried and tried and tried to find a multi-event website that I like. I can't find anything. So we are at the point where we want to redo our website, but it's hard that when I can't even show a web person, like, here's an example of something we think is good, because most of them are like us. You have a ton of information you need to share about each event. Mm-hmm. And there's just no easy way to streamline it all. It's one thing if you were a company that did one event a year. Easy peasy.
Like us.
25.
Yeah.
Often targeting the same audience.
Yeah.
So how do we organize all that in a user-friendly way?
Well, I'd love to dig into that. What I would like to offer you, though, is, if you're willing, maybe we could take this conversation offline, and I'm happy to talk through some of that with you, because I have a lot of ideas, and certainly you're not unique in that situation. And I have some things I'd love to share with you if you're open to that.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. So for the fairness time, Lisa, I really appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much. This is unique. We've never done this before on a Throwdown. I think it added a different element. So appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hop on here, especially last minute. I think we asked you like a half hour before the Throwdown. Yep. So
I happened to see it. So it all worked out.
That's awesome. All right. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thanks, Lisa.
All right. So that was really cool. Let's move on to the next site. And Ellie, I believe this is going back to you.
It is. And I'll try to go a little bit faster so we have time for all of our remaining sites.
Awesome. We got 2 more, so we should be able to squeeze them.
Great. All right. So we've got Unicep here. I was so hoping that you're going to have the same issue that I had when I first landed on this website. So for whatever reason, I'm using a Mac. I think this is 13-inch, like pretty standard. When I first landed on this website, all I could see was the top header slider. And actually it was cut off a little bit. And so I didn't even see that there was a call to action on there, right? You can see that there's a view now, or, it's cycling through. And so my first note that I wrote down was, I don't see how the slider is adding value. Now, when I looked at it again later on a bigger monitor, I saw that there was a call to action, but I completely missed that the first time around. So I think it could be interesting to, test the website on lots of different monitors to make sure that the intended design, intended content is all showing as you'd hope. Because the first time I landed, I completely missed that was an option. And then the same thing happened with the need a sample call to action on the right-hand side. It was completely cut off. So I saw need, but that was about it. So there's definitely some issues based on the size of my screen when I first landed on the website.
Christine, can you make the screen a little smaller and see if we can capture what Ellie was talking about? Do you have a 13-inch monitor? That might be
similar to that.
Yeah.
It was even like cutting off a little bit of the bottom CTA there. So you can see I was very confused about how much space this was all taking up.
Yeah. By the way, that picture in the background there looks like a Kool-Aid burst from when I was a kid. I'm not sure if that's what it was, but.
Yep. And so that was kind of my first point. And then While we're talking about calls to action, this was another case of a website that didn't have a lot of different calls to actions, right? There was need a sample, but I was a little surprised that given the wide range of products that this company seems to offer, the sample seems to be very focused on a particular type. So if you click on that, click on the button on the right, you end up with, the need a sample call to action. It ends up promoting a specific type of sample, which might not be relevant to everybody. Would love to see some more variety there. And then aside from that, it's really about this contact form, which was really the only call to action that we have. Would love to see some sort of variety, some sort of alternatives that would help people convert on the website. And in fact, if you do click that contact button, it'll take us to this form. And I was actually a little surprised that given that this is the main call to action, it didn't seem like where I was supposed to be if I was interested in buying the product, right? It says questions, interested in partnering with us. Maybe they talk about their customers as partners, but I was confused. I felt like I was in the wrong place to request some sort of sales conversation.
Yeah, it's especially, questions, interested in partnering with us. Don't forget to review our FAQ.
Like, please don't talk to us.
I mean, to me, the need a sample seems like that's their main primary call to action, but it's awkward that it's on the side there because it almost looks like should be a live chat or something, or issue with the site kind of.
Like feedback form.
Yeah. And I don't know, like need a sample. Like, is it too early to be asking that? Because I guess the right audience, and maybe they're assuming that people are only going to come to the website when they have a sample and they're ready to go, right? I'm just trying to think of the buyer journey there of what would be a little bit more appropriate. Like,
right.
Why should they send their sample to you?
Yeah. Like if I receive a sample, is the next step for me to call? Like it's a little bit unclear for me what I'm supposed to do next.
I'm sorry, did we click on that? If we click on that, does that go, where's that go? I need a sample on the sidebar there.
Maybe behind your Zoom window.
Oh, it probably is.
Yeah.
It expands.
Okay, interested in receiving samples of our, okay.
That was the one that it seemed very specific.
Yeah, maybe like want a free sample or something like that might be better, or I don't know. Like need a sample is kind of confusing. Yeah.
And then the other thing I found a little surprising was that there was such a prominent FAQ page. I have a little bit of a funny bias against FAQ pages, I found out through looking at this website. It almost feels like the content on here should be the main content of the website, right? Like every bit of information about the company and the suite of products, like everything that you'd want to know is on this page, which is great. But I feel like that signals the need for another page on the website to explain these different things, where it's easy to find, easy to navigate to. Then it also has the SEO benefit of living on its own anyway. I feel like there's a lot of gold in this page, especially if these are really frequently asked questions, to be able to surface this content elsewhere.
That's a really good point, Ellie. And I'm actually, as my mind wanders here, I'm imagining a website that is just like questions and answers, like for a company, like a B2B company, and you just go there and you just take off the header, frequently asked questions, what we do, and then there's little drop downs and you can learn wherever you want from that. I don't know. It would probably do terrible, but.
So if you go back to the homepage, even something as simple as kind of this hero slider, it seems to slide really fast. Maybe I'm a slow reader, but I'm having a hard time reading everything in there before it slides to the next thing. And I think just from a simple user experience perspective, it feels very rushed. I feel like, I gotta like hurry up and read these before they slide away. And I think that it makes me feel like I'm rushing through the content and I'm missing something and I have to go back, and that's kind of frustrating for me.
While we're on this ladder, I think it's a common theme that has come up again on this website is the use of stock photography. This was the website that I felt like you could really tell it was stock photography. I would love to see some more friendly faces and in general kind of humanizing the brand and adding a little bit more color to the company in a way. I think that would be fantastic just to see a little bit more personality and a little bit more polish through the photography itself. And using more photography throughout the website, especially on some of the product pages, there was a lot of text. So if we click on pretty much any of the product pages, there were a lot of them, almost overwhelmingly so. But there was just so much content on each of these pages in text form. I think there could be an opportunity to, adjust the design in some ways and break up the content so it's a little bit more consumable.
Might be just trying to do that for SEO reasons too.
Yeah, and it looks like again the only real CTA is contact us. They really don't have any other offers for, something like an ebook or something that has more information about these, research and development or the markets that they serve. It's really just, contact us.
Yep.
So in fairness to time, let's move on to the next site. Ellie, are you able to hang with us for like 5 more minutes?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, awesome. And Karina, I think this is gonna be your site, right?
Yep.
Kind of a good-looking site, right when we get there. It's interesting.
Yeah, so there's some things that I definitely like about this site. I think they actually do a really great job of conveying their value. So you get it kind of right up front. This is what they're targeting: optimal gut health. Their product is an innovative gut health ingredient for improving bacterial diversity. And if you scroll through, you'll get this video, The Gut Garden, which I actually really enjoyed watching. I get into some of that nutrition, sciencey kind of stuff, and it was actually really good information. I think what I realized as I went through, and they have benefits and a lot of kind of trust building things, like this new study is talking about this, but I realized that I still don't know what this product is. I know kind of what its value is, what the benefits are, but I don't know whether I eat it, drink it, inject it. I'm not sure what the actual product is. And that was confusing. And so I spent a lot of my time on the site trying to figure that out, and I actually couldn't find it.
It wasn't even under product info where would explain what the product is, you would think?
It talks about using this egg powder, but I don't know what I do with the product. I don't know if it's something that I assume that it's something that I consume, but actually practically, I don't know. And so, I think this has been a common thread with a lot of these sites is sort of the conversion points. There's really no conversion points here. You can download the product flyer, which is ungated, and there's not too much extra information there than what's on the site, but it's a nice little flyer. But the rest is just going to a contact, which is either a learn more. So you can't get the copy of the white paper right away. You have to actually send them a message to get one. Or on the contact page, it's a pretty similar form. If you go to that BOFU CTA, they're ready to formulate with IGY Max. It's kind of like, okay, this will take me somewhere, but then it's just basically a contact page. So I'm still pretty confused what the actual product is. And I think that's kind of like the major flaw of the site, because I think that the site is pretty nice looking. It looks very clean. I think that they've done a good job of concisely conveying a lot of things with it. But I think where it's lacking is a lot of conversion points, where they could provide even something like a gut health infographic. They have, if you go to their blog, actually, their blog was voted, one of the best, I think, gut health blogs.
Wow.
So
I didn't know there's a word for that.
they obviously have some great information that they're, I think, really not leveraging on the rest of the site to allow people to convert. So, if they have the best gut health blog, why not put that on the homepage and let people subscribe to that? So I think that's kind of initially what struck me about the site.
I agree with you. I think going back to when we talk about software, it's not showing the software, like it's a product company not showing the product, in terms of credibility, like show a bottle, show a box, show something, right? So we know like what we're going to be purchasing, right? Show some, maybe a picture of a doctor recommending it or someone trusted recommending it. I think that's another thing that's also missing from this, Karina, is that there's no, I think that survey or that data on the front page is really great. But I think, where's the social proof, of some sort, or, just make me feel really good and really confident about if I use this product, then I'm going to get the results that I'm looking for. Right. So that seems to be missing. It just seems like maybe this is okay. Maybe they're starting as a content marketing play and they have an audience and they're going to eventually evolve into their product. Maybe they don't really, again, my question is maybe they don't even really have a product yet, right? Maybe that's coming, but until then, like opt into our blog and learn about gut health.
Right. I mean, and that's what it seems like. And I think that's okay if that's what they're doing, but it's not really communicated here. So, on the homepage, I'm getting all this information about how awesome this product is. And it's making me like, oh, where could I actually look at this and order it? But there's nowhere that I could actually order the product. So if it is something that's, still being tested, maybe it needs, FDA approval or something like that, just communicate that on the site so that, and I think you can leverage that, and then you can get, do something that says get the latest updates on the product development, stuff like that.
Yeah, do you think that if it's early on in the development lifecycle or for this product, and they don't have social proof of existing customers, they at least have social proof for their blog, and so surfacing that earlier on in the website could be an interesting opportunity to keep people engaged, add some amount of social proof, but a different kind, to get people involved.
So we had a question here from a guy named Buddy. Way early on in the Throwdown, asking if we'll review a site from East Europe. Of course. I'm not sure if you submitted it, but if not submitted, again, send a message to me saying, hey, I was in your Throwdown, review my site, and we'll add on there. Let's wrap it up here. Ladies, you guys were awesome. So thank you so much for being part of our website Throwdown. So if you're looking to get in touch with either myself or Karina, the best way to do that is to go to the website you see here, impactbnd.com/talk. Before we get to Ellie really quick, do we still have the call to action for the event available? Boom. Do not forget impactbnd.com/live. I know you guys will all be there, which will be super exciting. And Ellie, thank you so much. You killed it today.
Of course. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. If someone wants to get in touch with you after this, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So first off, check out Crayon. It's super easy, crayon.co. We have lots of free tools, and pretty much if you try to reach out through anything on the website, it will probably get to me. But also Twitter is a great way. So Ellie and then Ellie backwards is my Twitter handle, ELLEEILLE.
Awesome. I remember that from the HubSpot days. Very cool. And seriously, all the best in your new role over at Crayon. You're going to crush it. So they're lucky to have you.
Thanks so much.
All right. Until next month, take care, everyone.